All right, guys, we're back with another episode of Talking Preps. I'm going to change the script just a little bit because we got a special guest in the back waiting. I normally ask Randall what his favorite thing of the week was. We're going to get to that in just a second. But first, we're going to get to the new West Charlotte football coach, DJ McFadden. Well, I know one thing you didn't like last week. First, we're going to get to the new football coach of West Charlotte, DJ McFadden, on the backside of this. All right, so we're going to bring in new West Charlotte football coach, DJ McFadden. I see you already got the gear on, Coach McFadden. What are your first impressions of the school you used to always try to beat?
Everything's been good, man. You know what I'm saying? Historical school, been meeting a lot of good people. Had a chance to get with some of the kids, so, ready to get settled in, pretty much got the staff done. So, we get rolling tomorrow, man, with some off-season work, so we're just ready to hit the ground running.
One thing that you said in your introductory speech caught my eye. I'm going to play this so everybody can hear it and get your reaction.
The program's going to be built on 4 principles: discipline, accountability, integrity, responsibility. I believe that you can't have one without the other. There's no way you can call yourself responsible, but you ain't got no accountability, you ain't got no integrity, you ain't got no discipline. Nobody really wanted to see me at a place like that. And I say that I am what I say I am when it comes to coaching. I think they got the right guy. I know they got the right guy. I am what I say I am when it comes to that. And as long as you guys stay here, we're going to be fine.
All right. Nobody wanted you to be there. What do you mean by that?
I mean, look, I kind of know, my place in this coaching world, and I know the school that West Charlotte is. And I think, with a lot of things that's been happening over the last couple of days, to see, me in a place like that, I think that'd be, trouble for the city of Charlotte. But we got to get in there and build this thing. We got to get in there and lay down our morals and our standards of what we want this program to be. And I think once we do that, we got great kids. We got a good young class. We got a good coaching staff. I think we'll be able to continue the success that West Charlotte's already had.
I mean, obviously, some of the big news we've seen is several players that left the program. That kind of is to be expected when a new coach comes in. How much is that going to affect you guys? And were you able to try to talk to those kids, or did you just find out when they posted on social media?
I mean, look, a lot of that stuff I had heard before they even had the job open. You know what I mean? So I'm just catching the heat for a lot of it. But look, I've never seen a situation in my 11 years of coaching where a coaching change happened and kids didn't leave. I mean, I remember when I first got hired at Independence, we had kids leave. Mm-hmm. When I went to Argentine with Joe Evans, Ryan Jones left. So that stuff is expected. Everything that's happened is expected. It took program-wise, you lose kids. Like, we've lost those 4 kids we've lost. It's like, okay, you losing 3 and 4 stars. But for me, like I've been telling everybody, I've never coached them. I've never had them. They've never played for me. So, I know what we got in the building. I know it's a great opportunity for some young guys. Like I've told them, before these kids were who they were, for everybody making a big fuss about it, they were once in your shoes waiting for opportunity. So now here's our chance for somebody else to come up and make a name for themselves as well too. So I'm excited about what we got. I know what we got in the building. We've been seeing all the deserts, memes and everything they got. So we love that. And we're just going to put our head down and work.
Hey, Coach, a couple of weeks ago, one of the questions that was asked of us was, why would a CMS coach want to leave from one school to another school? Because there's no pay incentive to do so. You're going to make the same amount no matter what school you're at. And so, I've gone through it earlier in my career. And one of the things I thought about was alignment with the principal, the AD, to the football coach. And I wanted to know from you, was it more of a push out of Independence or a pull of West Charlotte? Were you still in alignment with the people at Independence, or did things kind of get out of alignment and you thought, hey, I need a fresh start?
Nah, like Independence was great to me, bro. Like Principal Amy Mims, my AD Elijah Ashley, like everything was great as far as that goes. Like nothing, this decision had nothing negative behind it. This was a totally personal DJ McFadden decision. And like I've been telling everybody, for one, I always say I don't understand why the why matters to anybody else but myself. But you know, for me, look, it was a situation where, like I said in my introduction meeting, like I played at Independence for 4 years. I coached there for 6 years. My first job there was in 2014. And I just needed to change the scenery. Like Independence hasn't changed since 2000. So, said like everything looks the same. And I just wanted a new challenge, man. I gave that school 10 years of my life. I gave them everything I had these last 5 years. I just thought it was time for me to move on. Like I mentioned in my introduction meeting as well, too. A lot of my best playing years, football-wise, was Independence. So I just kind of wanted to disconnect myself from that. And figure out a new challenge. And when this call came, just like my calling into coaching, I thought it was the right place for me to be. You get the opportunity to be the head coach at a historically Black school. You walk into that school and you see all the history on the walls and you meeting the people there with all the history. Like that's somewhere where I felt like I need to be. That's somewhere where I felt like my impact could be felt. And I wanted to be able to go in there and impact those kids as well, too. And I know what Principal Cook has asked of me with that job and things she's looking forward to me doing outside of football. And I'm really looking forward to those challenges, man. So that's what I took on when I decided to take this job. I thought it was the right place for me if I was going to leave Independence, and I couldn't be more excited.
Hey, Coach, I had a question for you. A couple questions, actually. First question I wanted to ask you was, can you tell us who's going to be on your staff this year at West Charlotte?
Yeah, so we're gonna put that out here in a second. But I will say this: like we were able to retain the majority of the coaching staff from West Charlotte, and then obviously mix in some guys that were with me at Independence and been with me at Mallard Creek as well too. So we got a good stable of guys that have already been there and got those relationships with the kids, and we got a good crop coming over from Independence too. So we'll be releasing that here within the next week or so. But I'm very pleased with the staff we were able to kind of put together, and I'm excited to get to work.
And my next question, when watching that video, I think accountability in this generation is huge. I feel like that's something that kind of falls through the cracks in a lot of situations. When it comes to accountability for you, those kids over there, what are you telling them? Like, how are you explaining what accountability means for you?
Yeah, I think accountability for me, and this was the same when I was at Independence, it starts with what you do in the building. And I just think that if you're able to conduct yourself and be accountable for your actions in the building, that stuff will carry over to the football field. Like I mentioned in my first team meeting, I asked the kids straight up, like, what's easier to do, get the class on time or defeat the double team against Huff? And everybody agreed that getting the class on time was the most easiest thing to do. So I think if we can be accountable and get that job done first, and how we conduct ourselves in the building and with the teachers and everything else, that accountability and discipline will translate over to the football field. So they know what's up with me. I'm going to hold them accountable for all of their actions, and hopefully, get us to a place to where everything's taking place like it needs to on the field.
What do you say to the West Charlotte fans who think the bottom's falling out because I'm seeing, player X and player Y going to South Point and going to Huff? What do you say to those people?
Just be patient. Let me work. Let the staff work. Let the kids get to work. And we'll revisit this in August.
You still pretty confident about this team.
I just, again, I know what I've seen in the building these last couple of weeks with young guys.
Yeah.
I trust myself and my abilities to coach and lead a program. And I trust the staff that I got around these kids. So I'm not worried. Like I said, I wish all those kids well. I've been commenting on the post. I wish them well. Mm-hmm. I don't have no hard feelings. I've always believed that if you feel like a situation is better for you and your child, by all means, that's your prerogative, and we wish you well. But like I said, I've never had those kids. So I've never coached them. I've never been in the meeting room with them. Mm-hmm. So I'm excited to coach the kids that's going to show up in that weight room tomorrow at 2:30.
A couple more questions. What's it going to be like? Because you're in the same conference with Independence. So what's it going to be like when you're playing your old school for the first time next year?
I mean, it's not the first time I've coached against Independence. I was at Butler. I was at Myers Park. I've been to some other places where we had played. So business is business. I'm always going to love Independence. I'm always going to love the green and gold. That's my alma mater. But when that ball kicked off, business is business.
Okay. CMS brought out a new policy this week where they're going to limit the amount of media that can be on the sideline. I'm assuming that's going to go over. This is basketball. I'm assuming it's going to go over football next year as well. And mainly they're kind of targeting the independent media guys, you know, the Instagram, TikTok people. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, look, I feel like they got to do it just to kind of manage everything that's going on the sideline. I do love the fact that a lot of these kids who are just, you know, regular students are picking up these type of hobbies because they're pretty good at it. So, you know, I'm kind of stuck in the middle of it because I love for the kids to be able, especially the ones that are taking the pictures for their school, to be able to kind of do that and help build their brand, because there's a lot of opportunities for these kids in that media world. But I do understand putting the policy out to try to control what's going on the sidelines, though.
You think that's becoming too many people down there?
Nah, for sure. I mean, because nowadays, I mean, anybody can pick up a camera and call themselves media. So, you know, when I say limited, that's not my call. I would just like for everybody to have the right credentials, you know what I mean, and go through the right channels to get the right credentials. And if you do that, then I say let them come. But again, that's not my call. When you're coaching, you don't even really pay attention to that stuff anyway. But, you know, it is what it is.
Last question, James, before I let you go. What can we expect from West Charlotte's style of play? They had one style of play under the previous guy. What's your style of play going to be like with these Lions?
I think our style of play is going to kind of resemble what it's always been. I mean, we're going to be physical. I think that's the number one thing you see with the West Charlotte football teams. We're going to be physical. We're going to be accountable. We're going to be disciplined and execute at a high level. The style of play and what we do, obviously, you know, I've been known to have a system, but like I've always said, that system has always been tailored to the talent that we have. So once we kind of get in there and go through spring ball, that'll kind of determine what you see out of us offensively and defensively. But we got our systems that we're going to bring, and, you know, how much of that we do or how less of that we do will determine the strengths of our team. But I'm excited. We're going to be physical. We're going to be disciplined.
You're also going to be scripted really well. Go ahead, Gary. Last question.
Yeah, I got one more. Coach, you mentioned branding a few minutes ago, and the sweatshirt you got on, that brand was created by the previous coach. Are you going to come up with a different brand? And have you and Sam spoken since you took the job? Everybody thinks y'all are enemies, but I know differently. But have you and Sam spoken since you took the job?
So I've talked to Sam throughout the process. I talked to Sam the night right after my intro meeting. And I was actually at the North Meck game with Sam in the office talking with him. So me and Sam have had constant communication about it. I thank them for the sweatsuit. But yeah, I told the kids the other day I wanted them to come up with the slogan for the year, and I wanted it to mean something. I didn't want just a hashtag that sound cool. I wanted it to be something that we can live by throughout the season. I did tell them that, you know, our goal isn't to be kings of the Queen City. You know, we're trying to go 1-0 each day and hopefully at one point become kings of the state. But I'm gonna let them come up with that, and we'll have kind of put that out here in the next couple of weeks. But it's gonna be something that they come up with. This is their team, their program, and but it's gonna be something that we can actually live by day to day.
All right, Coach. Look, man, thanks for coming on. I know we had a little bit of a hiccup getting you on the last couple of weeks, but I appreciate you getting on. Have a safe trip back to Charlotte.
Hey, I appreciate y'all, man.
All right, man. Take care of yourself.
All right.
Thanks. DJ McFadden, friend of show. Any reaction, Gary, from hearing from Coach McFadden and in his plans for West Charlotte?
Well, I think he's going to the future, and he's not going to worry about the past.
That's what you got to do.
That's what you got to do. You control what you can control. The control. Yeah. And I think he's going in with the right attitude. You can't miss what you never had, and he's never had those players that left. So
West Charlotte at full strength would probably have the best returning roster in North Carolina. Based upon what you know right now, I ask you both of you guys this. Do you think they're a state championship contender? Can they get to play a Huff in the regional championship game?
Well, in my opinion, they will be better on offense because I just think DJ is one of the best at offense. And I think Sam was the best or one of the best at defense. So, you know, he says he has his staff together. We don't know who it is yet.
Right.
I'm more interested to see how they will change defensively, but I do think they will be better offensively.
So yes or no, regional championship game or better?
Yeah, I think he can get back because that JV was undefeated. So he's got a lot of young kids to step up where others are leaving. So yeah, I think they could go that far?
Randall, can they get to the regionals or better?
No, I think they can. I think it is going to be a little bit different for the reasons that Gary mentioned.
Yeah.
But I think West Charlotte is going to be. I think he's going to have them ready to play, and it sounds like just based on how he was talking that the buy-in is there. Mm-hmm. And I think the buy-in being there at the beginning is such a huge part when you're taking over a program, especially a program like West Charlotte.
One thing I will say, it's tough to get two good coaches, but West Charlotte, they lost a good coach, but they also got a really good coach. We'll see what happens with them.
And I don't think he's afraid of. Sometimes as a coach, when you transition to another program, you have to take a step back to get 2 steps ahead.
Right.
So you can't go in there with some shortcuts and say, hey, we're going to just try to pick up where the previous staff left off and just try to fill in the holes where they may have been weak. No, you got to go all the way back to point A and do it your way from A to Z and not try to pick up at, say, point Q or point R because you think that's where the previous staff left off. He's got to go back to point A, do it his way. If that means you lose a couple of games early in the season to get where you want to get late in the season, then so be it.
We'll definitely be following West Charlotte this year for certain. We're going to kick off the basketball portion of the show and get back on the backside of this commercial break.
Hi, I'm Scott Fowler, sports columnist at the Charlotte Observer. I have been here 31 years, but you know what I never have had before here? A newsletter. I've got one now. It's free. I'd love you to sign up for it and get my take. Every single time I have a column, you'll see it first. Panthers, Hornets, college sports, high school sports, whatever controversies going on. Sign up for my free newsletter, and you will be able to get my column every single time earlier than anyone else.
All right, so we're going to kick off the show where I normally do. Randall, what caught your eye last week?
The Buck City. Charlotte Hornets going 9-game winning streak. They're playing some great basketball. I feel like everybody felt like the sky was falling in November, December, and now everybody's back on the train. Ain't that right, Gary?
That's right. And then got
Gary Richmond watching NBA again.
That's right. And Randall, they added a Tar Heel, so they can't do anything but get better.
See, I knew he was going to come at you with UNC before the show got over. I was going to leave it alone, but I knew he was going to do that. What caught my eye, gentlemen? West Mecklenburg has won 6 in a row, and they beat Myers Park on Friday. And they are 13-8 overall, and they're tied for first place in the conference. And they have the inside track to the conference championship.
They control their own destiny.
They control their own destiny. They beat Randall's second favorite team Friday night. Rick, what do you think about the turnaround at West Meck to go from 0-25 to 13-8?
Well, we said it before, but Coach Chris has done an amazing job this season, and what he's done is just remarkable. And I had a chance to watch him play yesterday against Corrigan. And I'll be honest, this is no disrespect to the team, but more of a compliment to Coach Chris. I was watching them. They're undersized. They have some youngsters, but, they take their liabilities, which is they're undersized, but they're super quick and athletic. And they turn their liabilities into a positive. And when you look at the games against Myers Park, the one thing that they've been able to do against Myers Park is turn them over and create a lot of turnovers. So, their quickness and athleticism, but more importantly, it's just the way he conducts his, self on the sidelines. And the players all believe that they can win. You're going back to a team that basically went winless last year.
Yes.
Now they believe that they can win each and every game. And, yesterday it was the same scenario. They were playing Corrigan, and it was a back and forth game. And with 2 or 3 minutes still in the game, they said, okay, let's take over and let's close it out. And they end up winning a very close game. But just watching those young men play on the court and the positive attitude they have is remarkable.
Yeah, Richard, you've seen West Meck up close and personal. And I think you saw the first upset they beat Myers Park.
So the first, and I will say this, I think I said this on the show that week. What really struck me was when I was interviewing him, I said, what kind of goals did you have? And he said, well, if you don't talk about winning a conference championship, you can't. And think of how bold that is for an 0-25 team to come in on the first day saying, well, this is what we got to do to win a conference championship.
No,
And
that's-
obviously a lot of coaches will say that is coach speak 101, but and Rick alluded to it. There's an understated notion about him that's we're here about business. And if we're not here about getting better or improvement, why are we wasting our time? And he almost follows that old cliche that a lot of coaches would say, like, if it didn't matter, they wouldn't keep score. And I think Chris Ewell, it's very simplistic, but it's kind of a no-duh approach to whatever was ahead of him. And again, nobody outside of possibly West Meck ardent supporters and the 15 people in that locker room thought that they were even a candidate to win the conference. And now they're in the it's in their hands. I mean, it's amazing.
They played 3 sub-500 teams this week, and they definitely have a chance to win. Speaking about winning the conference championship, we did catch up with Coach Ewell after the game.
So, Coach, you came to Myers Park tonight, hostile environment. Your team came through again. You beat them at West Meck earlier this year. How proud are you of these guys?
I'm excited, but I want them to understand this is what the potential they have. This is what they can do every night. When they play the right way, they work hard, they stay together. I'm excited for the boys, but I want them to understand we got to stay even keel and take care of business every night. We still got games to take care of.
So what do you see where they can still improve?
Defensively talking, rebounding all the time. We can always get better rebounding, especially not giving up any offensive rebounds, giving teams extra chances. And then just staying consistent offensively, not settling, not giving the team any other opportunities because we taking bad shots or rushing.
So you started seeing a lot of poise out of these boys throughout the season. They remain calm. They seem to focus and everything. I think that comes back a lot to you.
Yes, sir.
What's the message you're giving this young man?
Honestly, I got to lead the way and lead by example, so I try to do that. And then honestly, nothing's been handed to us, nothing's been easy, so we've been in games like this all season. We rarely blow teams out. Everything's a dogfight. Everything is scrappy with us, so we learn from our mistakes, which is what the goal is every game. So my guys, they should be used to it by now, understanding that nothing's going to be easy. Every game's going to be a dogfight, so let's learn from our mistakes each time we go through it and just keep getting better.
That man, Richard Lewis, is all about business. And he's right about the close games. They do win a lot of close games.
They do. And you think about it, it all goes back to the way he conducts himself. When you look at him on the sideline, he is poised. So mature for a 29-year-old coach. And, especially with these young men who's never won before, and they look over the sideline and just look at him, he very seldom gets upset. So his maturity and poise is really what sets him apart from his peers. And and again, if you look at basically when we go through and look at the lineups and just look at the talent level, you're sitting there going, how in the world, as far as talent, are they able to beat Myers Park twice? Now, I'm sitting there going, you win at home, and then you go on the road and you're playing Myers Park on senior night. None of us had West Meck to win that game.
No, we did not. We did not, and they pulled it off. Do you think they win the conference?
I do. I think the destiny is in their hands, and I think, like Coach Chris said, they'll take it one game at a time. I think when Richard alluded to it when he said at the beginning of the year, like, what's your goal is to win the conference championship. They're 5-2. I mean, he can basically sit there and tell the young men, look, we're 5-2. No one believed that we were going to be at this position at this point in the season. Right. Now they have a chance and opportunity for these young men to do something very special that no one gave them a chance. And I think that's motivation enough.
They play Garinger, Hopewell, South Meck this week, 3 teams with sub-500 records. They have kind of a new role. They're going to have a little bit of a target, not a big one, but a little bit of a target. Gary, how do you handle that when you find a little success and now your favorite where you've always been the underdog? How do you keep your kids level-headed and not slip up and lose one you shouldn't have?
Well, first of all, you don't change your routine that got you those 5 wins. It's the 24-hour rule. Enjoy it for 24 hours, being that that's a Friday. You really got 48 hours. Enjoy it. But when they come back in Monday, it's the same way it was last Monday.
Right.
You don't change. You want them to understand that being a good team means being consistent in everything you do, especially practice.
Yeah.
And so I think that's how they maintain that. He doesn't change what he's been doing from game to game, practice to practice. He stays with the routine because the routine is what got them where they are.
Yeah,
I think the most important thing that he said in that interview is just get a little bit better every day. And I think especially in this situation with this team where they haven't seen success like that, that becomes so very, very important. Just getting a little bit better every day.
Yeah, well, speaking of games of the week, let's take a look at some. Tuesday night, Rick Lewis, Mars Park, and Huff tied with West Meck for first place in the conference are playing each other. What do you think about that game?
Well, both these teams are 5-2. Now, Myers Park has lost twice to West Meck. Huff has lost once to Myers Park and West Meck. I think when you look at this, these teams match up more as far as size and athleticism, as far as equal. Whereas Myers Park and Huff may have trouble with the smaller, more athletic teams such as a Huff, these two teams match up extremely well. And this game is at Huff, but if you look at on paper, the difference is Myers Park's trio are sophomores and juniors, whereas with Huff, their two main scorers are seniors. So it's one of those games where you're playing, a competitor in your conference on their basically senior night or one of their last home games.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just don't know how that plays out.
Yeah. If I'm a West Met guy, I'm pulling for Myers Park because we beat Myers Park twice. And if everybody wins out, you win the number one seed in conference outright. So that could be a big thing in that particular matchup. Thursday night, Randall's favorite team is hosting Providence Day. And the Chargers lost to Cannon on Friday when they had an inside track to the title. Now they got to win out this week. I'm sure Latin would love to beat Providence Day at home, and I bet there'd be a bunch of people there Thursday night, Randall.
And it does not matter. It has happened year after year. Latin is a hard place to play, and I've seen Providence Day teams that should win by 30 go in there and be in dog fights. This is going to be a very good game. I think the first time they played, they really wanted to keep the ball out of Emory Chaney's hands. They did not do that at all. Emory had 30 points in the first meeting. Expect him to get off to a fast start Thursday night. This game should be very, very interesting. It's going to be a good one.
I got a chance to see Providence Day play last week against Country Day, and I was very impressed with Zeke Battier, Shane Battier's son. Got a chance to meet Shane, talk to him a little bit. Zeke is 6'7", long kid, can really shoot it. I didn't know he could shoot it like that. He made like 4 out of 5 threes.
He does not play how you would expect him to play with the left hand. Yeah, that's for sure.
No, not at all. And but his dad was a good 3-point shooter there at the end. But this kid can really, really shoot the basketball. He can score. And
Does he take a lot of charges?
No,
he doesn't take any charges.
That's where they separate themselves at.
But he told me he's getting some D1 looks, and I think he's a fringe P4 player. And if he continues on this path, he's going to be a definite P4 player. And he's one of those guys that does not top 100. You don't hear about. And I'm not saying he's as good, but you look at the kid, the point guard at Stanford, that kind of came out of nowhere. I can see Zeke kind of going somewhere and be like, how do we not rank this kid? I mean, he's really good. He's got a really good disposition. I was very impressed with him. And also the coaching job that Jonathan McIntyre is doing, the interim coach of Providence Day, to take over that team this year with the schedule that they had put together. And they started out 0-4, Richard Lewis. Remember that?
Absolutely.
It's time for them to take that interim tag off Coach Mack. I'll be the I know nobody else is going to say it, but I'll say it.
No, I agree. I mean, I thought
he's done a phenomenal job this year. I think he's got a really, really good staff, and I think if they take that interim tag off, they could build something special over there at PD.
Well, he's got a great staff because he convinced Brian Field to come back, and Brian Field's the best coach they've ever had, and they got Battier on the bench, and they also have Ryan Conrad, who's one of the best players they've ever had, who was on all these people except Battier were on the staff when Providence Day was the team in North Carolina. And they're all back, and they have a nice young team. Columbus Parker, those of you out there might remember Chris Parker that played at Johnson C. Smith in the 90s. They called him Greenlight. And Chris's son needs to be called Greenlight 2.0 because he can score the ball as well. They're young, they're big, they have a really bright future. And the fact that Christ School is playing in the Nike tournament and not going for a third or fourth straight state championship in the private schools gives Providence Day a real opportunity to win their first state title in 10 years. I know they slipped up against Cannon last week. They're vulnerable. They're not a dominant team. But, I think maybe Rick Lewis Forsyth Country Day and Providence Day in the final is very possible.
They're two of the favorites. And the other thing I want to mention about Coach McIntyre, they started the season off 0-4, and all those teams that he lost to are probably all in the top 5 at the private school level.
Yeah.
And more importantly, too, is we had an opportunity. We had another team that was playing Oak Hill December 20th, and that team sort of fell through. So, I reached out to him. I said, how would you like to play Oak Hill? He said, I love the opportunity. So here's someone as a first-year coach at Providence Day. Basically, he was assistant coach for 19 years.
Yeah.
You're someone that was not afraid to go into battle and play the toughest teams out there. To me, that just speaks volume for him as a person, as a coach. Now, on the sidelines looking back, let's look at basically you got Jim Baker and Cannon sitting there at 6-2. Mm-hmm. I know who he's pulling for in that Latin game.
Yes, sir. Jim Baker is one of the best players we never talk about. I mentioned it last week. That Knicks kid is just killing it. Every game I look, he's 38, 36. I mean, he may be one. I mean, I don't get to pick the All-Observer team, y'all. It's not me. It's that guy that's down there below me.
But you know what he reminds me of? He has a little bit of Austin Swartz in him.
Yeah, another Cannon stuff.
That's a really good comparison right there.
I bet his voice isn't as high pitched as Schwartz, though. That's my guy. You got a long story. That's my guy, Schwartz. All right, so Randall, South Meck and Myers Park girls are going to play Friday. 2 top teams in the league. This is likely going to decide the conference championship. South Meck won game 1. What's going to happen in game 2?
I think it's the same thing we talked about. Myers Park, they get another home game. Really tough team. South Meck. It's going to be interesting to see how they handle going on the road. But I think with the championship on the line, I think both teams come out and play well.
And your winner?
I'm going to go South Meck. South Meck in the upset on the road Friday night at Myers Park.
Oh wait! I didn't put you on the spot for your 2 favorite teams. Give me a winner in Myers Park, Huff, and Providence Day Latin. Both of your favorites playing.
I'm gonna go Latin at home.
Yeah, I bet you would. You can't go and let how those parents come with you. You can't do it again.
I've been jumped by those Latin moms once already. We don't need it. We don't need a repeat.
All right, Myers Park. Are they going to win at Huff? You got the Myers Park people mad at you? Or you going to pick Huff?
No, I took Myers Park. I took
Myers
South,
Park. Okay.
Myers Park. Oh, Myers Park. Are they going to win over there? Yes, I do. I do have Myers Park winning at Huff.
So Antoine let you sit beside him now.
Yeah. I'm not going all the way up there, but yes, I would be able to sit.
Antoine's feeling good right now, though. He wouldn't be mad.
I'm actually shocked that I have not got a phone call today. Very, very.
Oh, he's saving it. He's gonna let you know.
His youngest son couldn't wait to call me, but I have not heard from him yet.
Yeah, we're talking about Antoine Jameson, the former UNC great. He and Randall were very, very close.
He might be still on Franklin Street.
He may well be. He may well be. All right, Richard Walker. Friday night is Game of the Year Part 2. West Charlotte and North Meck. We had a lot of hullabaloo after the game, but during the game, there was a phenomenal battle between 2 great teams. I'm hoping that both teams are going to be at full strength because both teams have started sitting out, and I'm assuming that's because of the CMS investigation. CMS won't tell us exactly what was the result of the investigation, but I can only assume that North Meck has had a couple people out. West Charlotte's had a couple people out multiple games, but I'm hoping they're all back Friday night. What do you see in this game?
Same with you. I mean, I expect another, humdinger. I mean, it was one of the best games I've seen all year last time, and this time you'd expect nothing less. The only difference is this time is this will be the 3rd game of the week for both, and as we know, that league is really challenging. So it'll be interesting if there's any kind of injuries or lingering effect from those injuries that these teams have. And, again, I think most of us expect North Meck to be able to go 10-0 in the league, but it is not going to be an easy road. And this week it illustrates that because their 3 games are very challenging, no more challenging than the finale at home against West Charlotte.
Yeah, and to your point about maybe being a little tired, West Charlotte also played Ambassador Christian to a tight game in one of Rick's tournaments on Saturday. I think it was 59-54, something like that. But, Rick, West Charlotte was back at full strength on Saturday. That, again, looked like a team that can win the 8A state championship.
Absolutely. Now they were missing the newcomer Singh.
He had an injury. Yeah,
he was injured. Now, going back to the loss they had at Butler, Kahari Coleman did have to sit out the entire game, and Chacho Womack did sit out the first half, and then of course Singh got hurt in the first quarter, so it put West Charlotte in a bind. But that being said, it was a great win by Butler. I think the key point for this game on Friday night, and if you compare it to the first game, if you look at the senior trio of Ashton Pierce, Xavier Young, and also the Eswick kid, those three senior trio guys combined for 48 points. Whereas at West Charlotte, you had Chacho Womack, Kahari Coleman, and AC Presley only scored 23.
Mm-hmm.
So the seniors basically outplayed the underclassmen. And the one thing about the players from North Meck, they're two-time back-to-back state champions.
Mm-hmm.
They know how to win,
yes,
and they expect to win. It's that confidence factor. I think for West Charlotte, they have to develop the mentality that they got to play defense for the entire 32 minutes. The game yesterday against Ambassador was a classic. I mean, both those teams are very, very talented.
Mm-hmm.
The difference, and I think the X factor that could play into play for Friday night is Jakai Wade. He was a man amongst boys. He was more aggressive, attacking the rim. And I think that's the one thing I noticed when the game was really close. Instead of settling for all those perimeter jumpers, you had, Kahari Coleman, you had Wade, you also had Chacho Womack. Instead of settling for the jumpers, they were attacking the rim and drawing contact and going to the free throw line. And if I'm not mistaken, I think Ambassador had 3 guys to foul out. So I think the mentality, if they say, let's go downhill, let's attack them and just settle for, the perimeter jump shots, it may be an entirely different game. But at the same time, North Meck doesn't lose often. And at the same time, they're very well coached, and they got 3 guys that's been there, back-to-back state champions.
Yeah.
They know how to win.
Yeah. West Charlotte, this Kahari Coleman reminds me so much of the 91-92 West Charlotte team. Kind of struggled a little bit in regular season play, but then a sophomore named Jeff McGinnis and another sophomore named Thad Polenpark caught fire in the playoffs. This team reminds me a lot of that team. That team won a state championship, and I'm not so certain that this team won't win one either. Gary, go ahead.
Yeah, the way I'm looking at it, Rick brought up something that West Charlotte is the younger team. I think West Charlotte in this rematch has a higher ceiling.
Correct.
And North Meck probably has a higher floor. And I don't see North Meck getting that much better from the previous game. I see West Charlotte getting a lot better from the previous game.
If West Charlotte uses Jakai White to Coach's point, that's the advantage. Is North doesn't have very much inside defensive presence, and he can really dominate the game if they give him the ball. To you always make the point, Gary, about guards and forwards. Guards have it, forwards need it. So if they give it to him, it could be a difference maker. All right, Richard, final word on this. We're gonna move on.
Well, another thing on North Meck, you were talking about how you don't know how much better they're going to get. I thought I saw a little bit better when they were sitting Young and Pierce against Mallard Creek. Granted, it's Mallard Creek, but Lewandowski hit, I think, 7 3-pointers.
Oh, yeah.
If they can get some kind of production like that out of the non-expected stars, and North Meck has a deep team too.
Yeah.
So that's going to be interesting. And plus, they were at home. I mean, Mallard Creek really came at them knowing that they were diminished. You had one guy in street clothes and one guy didn't play that are the 2 senior veterans. And they were able to handle Mallard Creek very easily, basically because they spread the defense out by hitting 3-pointers. And I'm not saying that'll be easy against West Charlotte, but I think North Meck has more weapons than maybe sometimes we realize, because I think he tries to stock his bench, and I would imagine too, and I've heard this said for years by them as well, their most competitive games sometimes are in practice. And so, we get that on the floor against West Charlotte. We'll see what happens. I don't disagree with the logic that West Charlotte is continuing to come. The youthfulness will continue to play out better, but let's not act like North Meck doesn't have a bunch of guys sitting the bench that could probably score 20 for some other teams if given the opportunity.
Absolutely. I think the key for West Charlotte is getting the ball inside and playing discipline.
Yes.
Keep your head.
I do like the Jakai Wade comment, because I thought that from the first time I saw them this year.
Yeah,
if they go inside out, it makes them better.
Yeah, just play discipline and keep the emotional play down, and we'll see what happens. All right, Randall, 30 seconds. We got Providence and Ardrey Kell. The girls' games are going to be for the league title. The boys' games is a big rivalry game. Providence boys having a phenomenal season. Ardrey Kell coach Mike Kraft has his team playing above what you might think they would be right now.
Yeah, I think this is a big game for them. Ardrey Kell dropped a couple games on the boys' side.
Lost 3 in a row.
Yeah, so they got to get this. They got to right the ship. So a very, very big game for them. I think on the girls' side, the question is, how do you stop Emma Fuller? And
you can't.
Yeah, I don't.
Walking double, bro.
Yeah, I don't know if you can. Obviously, Ardrey Kell has played really well this year. I expect the girls to pick up full court press, try to keep the ball out of her hands as best as possible.
Good luck with that, because if she gets it, it's buckets, and if she misses it, it's rebounding buckets. It's one or the other. I'm a little out of order, but player of the weeks from last week. Speaking of Providence, right up to it.
Yep, Emma Fuller. A big win for them, 72-41 versus Palisades on Friday. Emma had 20 points, 14 rebounds, and 6 blocks. Oh,
and who's that next young lady, Randall?
That would be
Gary too.
Our reigning. That would be our reigning Miss.
No, it's not our reigning, because y'all named somebody else in Miss. Yeah. I'm just saying. Oshana
Holland, another great game, another 40 ball for her, 44 points, 8 assists, and 6 steals in a win versus Cherryville. Amari Melton from Forest Hills had 25 points in Thursday, 72.
Hold on, let's go back to Miss Holland. Yeah. How many points she have in her career, Richard?
Over 3,000.
Over 3,000 points.
Whoa.
I'm just saying. How many girls have done that in North Carolina history? Like 3. I'm just saying, Randall. And Gary.
She's making a run for it.
Gary got a little more going on this one, I believe. But I'm just saying. All right, Amari Melton. I'm sorry.
Amari had 25 points in their win on Thursday night and became the number 3 scorer in the school's history. Z Phillips from Hunter Huss had 28 points and 9 rebounds, along with 8 assists in a win over Crest Friday night. And Kingston, Womack, and Stuart Kramer also had 20 points and 13 assists in their win Friday versus Cherryville.
Yeah, we got our resident Gaston County expert, Richard Walker, here. Z Phillips is not the name we hear from Hunter Huss. We hear about another name over there.
And Jaleel Smith fouled out in that game, which tells you a lot. The score was compacted. I'm sure Crest tried to slow them down, and they found a way to win convincingly on the road.
Yeah, they normally score about 98, and
right.
And that young man gets about 40 a night. He was our mid-season
exactly.
As well.
I think he finished with 11 and fouled out.
Yeah, tell me about Kingston.
One thing too on Zion Phillips that people understand. He's also averaging 16 points a game, 5 assists, 5 rebounds, and 5 steals. So he's putting up some pretty good numbers himself.
Yeah, and Richard, what do you know about Kingston, Womack, Stuart Kramer? I know they get overshadowed by the girls a little bit, but 13 assists in a high school game is a lot.
Well, it's a school record for points in a game. They scored, I think, 101 about 4 years ago against North Gaston. And Brad Sloan, their head coach, came over from Southwest Middle School, which I believe his last game or one of his last games at Southwest Middle School was he was coaching Keyshawn Woods, who ended up playing at Gaston Day and Northside Christian. So Brad would be more favorable to playing an up-tempo style of ball, and obviously everything worked for them in the game against Jericho.
Yeah. All right. We're going to take a break, and we're going to come back. My favorite part of the show, Coach versus Coach. We got a special guest. We're going to talk about this new CMS policy that's limiting independent media. And we got a guy who's an independent media person to come on the show and give his side of the story. So we'll be right back after this commercial break.
Hi, this is Randall Clark, the host of Talking Preps. We are back with another basketball season. Join us each Monday to get the latest news on Charlotte area boys and girls hoops. We've got rankings, predictions, player interviews, and more. Watch the show every Monday at noon on charlotteobserver.com, streaming on all platforms Monday at 9 p.m. Don't miss the #1 high school basketball show in North Carolina. Join us each week.
Yeah, Randall did that in one take, which was impressive. Yeah, that was pretty good. You and Chris Hughes, y'all pretty good at that. All right, so we're going to bring in my man Adrian Addie from Shotmakers. I felt like I just covered you like yesterday when you were playing at Hopewell. You were point guard. And now you're doing this independent thing. You're one of the best independent video people that I've seen. Does great work over at Shotmakers at almost every game. And he goes to the crowd. And what's that little saying that they say when you point the camera at them, Shotmaker? I love Shotmakers. Or if it's Shotmakers or nothing.
I don't want it.
Yeah, if it's not Shotmakers, I don't want it. So the kids look forward to it. So they really like him. So, Adrian, we're going to do this thing called Coach versus Coach. And I'm going to put some questions up on the screen, and everybody goes around and gives their answer. The last one, we're going to talk about the policy. I definitely want to get your response to that. So we're just going to have a good time and do that. Randall is correct. I still don't have the new theme music, but I am going to have it. I promise you before we get done doing this show. It's coming. I promise. It's coming. Here we go. All right, Gary, alternating possessions, who gets the ball first?
I got it.
You got it for Gary?
Well, I'm gonna say let Adrian make it. Since you don't have time, Adrian, make him a theme music opening. He's been working on it. I'm sure you can do it a whole lot faster than he's gonna get to it.
That's right. That's right. All right, Gary. We've seen several high-profile transfers out of West Charlotte. We heard from DJ McFadden, the new Lions coach, early today. He's not concerned. But if Sam Griner was retained, do you think those Lions would have retained all of their players?
No, I don't. And here's why. He had a very good JV program. They were undefeated.
Yeah.
And, during the course of a year, that's when players – from get bigger and stronger and faster between the ages of 15, 16 years old. So you would have had some JV kids probably stepping up and bumped out some of the guys who expected to start.
Mm-hmm.
And they would have been looking to leave, if they knew they weren't starting because they started the previous year and now you're not starting. I think those kids leave. I think the high-profile transfers are unfortunate, but every case is different.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think he would have had a 100% return rate had he started, because I know for a fact that everybody wasn't happy.
Mm-hmm.
And when people are not happy, they do something to try to make themselves happy. And
that's correct.
One of them is to leave.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. All right, Adrian, your debut question. What you got?
Talking about for this question right here?
Yeah, this question right here. If Sam Griner had stayed, you think those players would be leaving? They lost about 4 players. Three power 4 guys.
I mean, I feel like other good players want to play with other good players. If you look back on like my team when I was playing, we had a lot of good players on the team. There were thoughts where I wanted to leave sometimes because I knew I had to take a back seat playing alongside like Jordan Downey and Brandon Curry and those guys. So, but I mean, I was chasing a ring. It wasn't all about me going somewhere and just getting all the points, I think you don't see that a lot these days with some of the schools and some of the teams, You'll just see guys come in for a year, sometimes 2 years, and they'll just leave, not knowing that if you're good, they'll come find you anywhere, whether you stay home or you decide to leave or not. But to that point, I do think that if he stays, I think some of those guys do stay. He may not keep all of them, but I think a couple of them do stay.
All right, RC.
I think just based on what I've heard, I think a lot of those guys were already gone. I don't think Sam leaving had a whole lot to do with it. It might have contributed a little bit. They might have second guessed themselves or more conversation would have been had. But I think at the end of the day, I think a lot of those guys were gone anyway.
Okay. Well, Randall, this is a really good question for you coming up. We saw the UNC Duke rivalry renew on Saturday. Gary's laughing. You see Gary's shirt there. You see his shirt. He's leaning back so you can see his shirt.
This is why he punted. He did a good job reading the script, so he made sure that I had to get this question first.
But we saw Duke UNC renew the rivalry Saturday. We're not going to talk about that game, but what is the best Charlotte area high school rivalry right now, and why?
I mean, I think you obviously say North Meck, and you could go North Meck and West Charlotte or North Meck and Chambers. I'd probably go. I think North Meck. I'll go North Meck Chambers. I think a little bit closer. I think it's a little bit more personal. A lot of those kids play together in the spring, summertime. So I'd say North and Chambers.
Well, they met in the regional championship game last year. I think
they played four times 2 years ago.
Yeah, absolutely. Gary.
Similar. I'm gonna say North Meck and Mallet Creek girls.
I knew you were gonna say that.
Oh, we knew he was going. I knew I was gonna let him have that one.
So I think that's one. But here's the common denominator is North. And the teams that Randall mentioned, he mentioned, Chambers and Charlotte, Chambers and West Charlotte, and I'm thinking Mallet Creek and previously it used to be Hopewell. All of them, all those schools, Hopewell, Huff, Mallet Creek, and Chambers, all come out of North Meck.
It's true.
So they, their attendance zones touch, and that kind of creates rivalry right there because the kids know each other. I mean, they really know each other. A lot of them went to middle school together.
Yeah.
And they play for the same AAU program. So, any team that is trying to knock off North Meck is a big rivalry. North Meck is the king of basketball in Mecklenburg County.
No, can't argue that. All right, Adrian, what's your answer to this? What's the best Charlotte area rivalry?
Yeah, I was gonna say something along the lines as what he just said. The past few years has definitely been North and Chambers, but I think moving forward, it's any good talent that can compete with North, if that makes sense. They're just the top guys. They got, I've said this time after time, they have the best defensive program probably in the state, and it's probably not close. So they play hard. Lewis gets those guys to run through a brick wall for him. I don't know how he does it, but he does it, and they know how to win. So, yeah, but I think this year it's been North and West Charlotte. Like he said, a lot of the kids, they all know each other. Some of them are even friends outside of, the basketball line. So, but it's just North is just they just been on top the last few years, and they get everybody's best on any given night. So, but this year North and West Charlotte, but over the last several years, it's definitely been North and Chambers.
Yeah, North and Chambers has been a zoo. I remember Isaiah Evans playing at Chambers, hitting the game winner from the corner, and then they play in the playoffs, and he goes up for 62 or 3, and the game goes into overtime. I mean, just crazy stuff. And then they meet in the regional championship game last year. I think right now that is the rivalry in basketball in Charlotte. All right, Adrian, this is why we brought you on the show. A new CMS policy is going to limit access to social media independent journalists to basketball games and require a more stringent approval process. Do you think that's warranted?
So I think I'm all for making changes in the policies. I think that sometimes we get overlooked as an independent media outlet. Of course, there are several quote unquote kids or younger people who walk around with a camera. Some of them are for real, some of them I don't even know. But as far as just not approving independent journalists, especially ones who do it full time, like this is my full-time job for the last 7 years. I provide a service that parents, coaches, ADs, and even the whole school ask me to come do. I see a lot of issues when it comes to granting access. The agreement with CMS and NCHSA media protocols, it doesn't make sense. You're supposed to be vetted by the NCHSAA, go through a background check. Schools are quote unquote supposed to abide by that, but every school has their own policy. So to that extent, I see a lot of, the athletic directors will have these private lists, and media is supposed to be on these lists to be granted access to come provide something for the school players or coaches. But I get there sometimes, and especially this past year, and I get denied. But then I come inside, I see your auntie, cousin, next door neighbor, and all three of their kids on the baseline who aren't ticket holders. So that's a problem for me. It's just like, okay, so if you're gonna put out a policy for something that's for the baseline and media and independent media, it needs to be for everybody. Like if we can't be on the baseline, and everybody else shouldn't be on the baseline. I mean, unless you like security or the cops, but I just think that they don't understand what we provide and what we do, and to that point, they kind of just push us to the side sometimes. Oh, he's just some random guy with a camera. He'll be all right if he doesn't cover this game, but they don't know, like, parents hit me up constantly. I have a rapport with a lot of coaches. I've done work over the years. So sometimes they kind of group us together, and because of that, it affects everybody. And I've reached out to some of the directors of CMS and emailed them. I have yet to really get a response about it. But it does hurt someone like me. And there's a couple other guys who are serious about it. Even the younger kids, there's a couple of them who are serious. But I just think there needs to be a reevaluation when it comes to how they handle the process, who's vetted, and then whatever the agreement is between CMS and NCHSAA, they need to figure that part out, because the pass holds no weight. We get there, we flash our passes. They don't care. They don't care about it. So it's just like, what's the point of the pass? What's the point of me even being here? I have a coach here who wants me to be here, but you telling me I can't enter. I have parents who want me to be here because they know that their kids need for college recruitment. It's a lot of parents out here who can't afford for their kids to go to college. And I was one of those kids. So it's just like, if you have the opportunity of someone who's taking the time to come film their kids and give them a platform that CMS nor NCHSAA is really giving them, why not let us be a part of that journey and treat us like a traditional media outlet? And you and I have had these conversations before. Things are just changing. No one's really coming to, no knock at any traditional media outlets, but no one's asking for them to come film a full game. And
they're not going to do it anyway.
They're not going to do it anyway. They're already being paid. So they're just there for the, who won, who lost, if there was something historically that happened and whatnot. But that's just what it is. And it's always been like that. I just think that there needs to be a reevaluation when it comes to independent media outlets. And I just feel like we just need to be treated with a little bit more respect, because we offer a lot. And people look forward to, I use your clips all the time to hype up games prior to the game. Yeah. We are a good reason why some of these games do get sold out.
We're gonna come back to this and have a group session, but I do want to get Randall's and Gary's thought before we do that. Randall, your thought about the new policy? They're also not going to let people be on the baseline, so everybody's got to be in the stands.
I think one of the big things is I feel like there are a lot of students that are, accessing media, trying to go down this road. And I think if I'm CMS, I'm going to do a better job of embracing these students. And, either the schools independently or CMS as a whole needs to come up with a program to help these kids, because, these are situations where this can help them get to school. This can give them internship hours. If I have a kid at Myers Park and he wants to do this stuff, well, why not give him an internship where he's covering the basketball team? I think there are better ways of going about it than the ways that we did, because like Adrian says, now you basically lump them all together. And so now I got a kid that's picked up a camera for 3 months and says he's a photographer, going with somebody, and I'm putting him in the same classification as a guy that's been doing it for 7 years. Like, it's not fair. And I think there's a way to go about it that you can make it accessible for everybody, but also make it beneficial for the students that are in your buildings every day.
All right, Gary.
You know, I like my props.
I do, yeah. Your trophies for everybody and everything else.
This is my favorite prop because I work hard to get it. And so, you know, that's, for those who don't know, that is the state coach's gold card. And in order to get one, you have to be a member of the State Coaches Association for a minimum.
And you got to be old dude. Yeah.
And this is the first year that I've had this card where I've been denied access.
Yep.
And it's supposed to be automatic. You show that gold card, it gets you in any high school game in the state of North Carolina until this year.
Gary, what school did it not work at? Which school didn't let you in, Gary?
Mount Creek.
Oh, now isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting?
I'm so shocked that all the schools is Mount
How it
Creek.
don't work for you at Mount Creek?
Work at Mount Creek.
I'm so shocked.
And I was warned before going to the West Charlotte Independence game. I was on my way, and I was told, "Don't even go." And I was like, "I got the gold pass."
You mean the football game?
It ain't gonna work. And then I was like, "Well, I got the state, North Carolina High School Athletic Association card. I've been vetted. I've been given a background check. All of that stuff.
Yeah,
that's not gonna get you in." And I'm like, "Wait a minute. These get me in the state championship, and you're gonna tell me it, but it doesn't get me in a regular season game."
Well, the LEA overrides the state in all cases, and I think that's what's happening. But I do want to bring in Rick and Richard and get their thoughts. I hear everything that Adrian's saying, but I also see a lot of young kids, college kids, just decide I want to go to X game. I know I can't get in; it's going to be sold out or whatever, so I'm going to get my camera and go as media. And I've seen some incidents. There was almost an incident after the West Charlotte game with North Meck where an independent guy almost tripped a North Meck guy after the game going up for a dunk he shouldn't have gone for, but it did happen. So I see both sides of it. When I go to, and Richard, you have been to ACC games and Hornet games, you don't see all of this at those games. The Panthers years ago.
There's more scrutiny for sure.
Yeah, the Panthers years ago used to let just about anybody go, but now they don't anymore.
And I grew up in an element where, I got into this crazy business by my father working at Gardner Webb and was the backup radio guy. And so I was kind of a gopher to help media do stats, do stuff like that. Mm-hmm. I don't think we want to eliminate those kind of people from the games, but there needs to be some kind of decorum, I guess would be lack of a better word, on the baselines. And that's where, probably what needs to happen is CMS needs to probably get together with their ADs and say what works for you guys and what can work for the media. And we eliminate this people all over the baselines because we're waiting for something bad to happen. And I'm going to say something happened at a Panthers game. The Panthers' first home playoff game way back when changed the lay of the land for the NFL because a photographer got their leg broke because they were so jammed into the corner. A player dove after a ball, landed on somebody, broke their leg. The NFL realized they would be liable for the suit. They settled out of court with the person. I think it was a female photographer, and you don't see that many people on the sideline at NFL games anymore. I hope we don't have to have something like that happen.
Richard, we almost had something like that happen.
Force an issue with CMS.
Yeah, we almost had something like that happen at the state championship game a couple of years ago. The first time was in Winston-Salem. They had 200 plus photographers up there, and there's not 200 plus newspapers, so there's a bunch of new media people like Adrian there, and many of them I had never seen before. I even talked to a couple of them. They just wanted to come to the game because they were like some big time recruits that were going to play, and they just wanted to be close to the court. And I think that's what you have to kind of vet and avoid. But Rich, I want to get your thoughts.
Well, first of all, Adrian, thank you for what you do and provide for a lot of the young kids out there. And I think you hit a good point. Like I've seen before, like you use segments of this show to hype and promote a game. And I think some of the things that you do promote fan attendance and excitement at a local level. And it's at a time where in the past where the attendance haven't always been good at a lot of the games, except for your rivalry games like, North Meck versus whoever they're playing. But that being said, there has to be a vetting process, and we do the same thing when we run our events. As far as we just don't hand out a media pass to every person that says they have a camera. And the other thing too is a lot of these people, even our people who are employed by us, we do most of the video from the stands. We don't do it on the baseline. So I do think the baseline should be limited to people like Adrian and, people that's been vetted, who've been in it, that's professional. And I think those people do serve a nice purpose for high school basketball.
Yeah, I think, Adrian, I was curious to get your thoughts. If we had some type of vetting process like Rick talked about, I've been doing this X number of years. I'm over 21 years of age. Here's some examples of my work. One of your friends, Eric Whaley, told me he thinks you need to have so many followers. I don't know if that's fair or not, but I think there needs to be some type of vetting process to kind of split apart the serious people versus the guys who just want to go to the game. Now, if a school wants to hire a kid and give him access, that's fine. But I mean, there is a point in high school gyms where you just can't have 30 people being media games. So I'm just curious, what do you think about some type of vetting process? And if there was one, what would you like to see?
Yeah, I think Randall mentioned it earlier. There needs to be some type of program where, because this is the thing, Langston, when I started, I was playing games on my cell phone.
On your iPhone, yeah, I remember.
Games $20, $30, like it wasn't making anything. So I'm on both sides where there probably needs to be X amount of followers, maybe have an LLC, whatever, where it's more legit. But there also needs to be a more strenuous, like, who's approving this and who's going to allow this approval at each gym. Because still, at the end of the day, every school has the right to void it. Mm-hmm. But another issue is the kids and parents, sometimes the coaches aren't really speaking with the ADs like, hey, I have someone coming here tonight. He's not a traditional media outlet. Whether it's me or someone else, we need to get into the game. The new policy states you got to reach out to AD 48 hours prior. Only 6 people are allowed. Is it the first 6? Are they weeding out the more important 6? What if of the 6 is the observer?
I can't. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's just like I don't know who they're going to choose. But there definitely needs to be some type of more strenuous guideline.
Well, let me take you this, Adrian. On Friday night, North Meck is going to host West Charlotte. Every TV station, there's 6 or 7 TV stations in town, is going to be there. Plus Richard, plus Jeff Steiner, the best photographer in North Carolina, by the way. So that's 9 people already. So if I'm North Meck, I got a small gym, how many independent people can I let in?
Well, I don't even think that's the problem. It's the baseline.
That's what I'm saying. All those guys are going to want to be on the baseline.
It's not even just us. I said this earlier. When I go there, it's the principal and they 2 kids. Mm-hmm. It's the security, they neighbor and their uncle. Then it's the other neighbor and they 3 kids. Then it's the AD's kid and they little kid's best friend because they love Slim.
So just essential personnel only.
If you're going to apply it to media, it needs to apply to everybody. Principal, sorry, you got to go sit in the stands. Like, good luck with that one. What's the point of having security in the cops? What's the point of having the security and the cops right there?
I hear you, but it's my school.
If you're going to have security and cop right there, you don't need to be there. So you need to go sit up in the stands. That's the only thing that's fair. But I get it, like. But when it's a big game like coming up this Friday, they don't want to do it because I don't want to say someone's being lazy, but they have to individually go to these individual outlets and see like who's for real and who's not. You know what I'm saying? So
I don't think they can do that in the middle of the season. I think in the fall when football comes around, I think that's a great idea to try to really truly vet and have people apply. Because when you want to go to see North Carolina Duke, you got to call you got to write to the SID at that place. They're going to verify you, make sure who you are, and they're going to give you
same as the Hornets, same as the Panthers, same as the Charlotte Knights. I mean, on down the line. I mean, any college, any high school, or any professional team, you have to go through that process. I think there's an element of, particularly with basketball, that we probably ought to look at the decorum around the scores table, because I've seen that be an issue this year, because you got scores for the two teams separated the farthest ends of the bench, get them side by side, and then figure out a way to either help media get tables beside of the scores table and you eliminate it. And I know when Rick Lewis has done Phenom Hopes tournaments, particularly at Myers Park, that is the way that it looks, and you don't have those problems. And I think it's not to try to keep people away, but it creates a bit of a bubble away that keeps the fans away from the scores table, which I think is a good thing, because you don't want to have the scream and holler fan two steps away from the guy running the time, the clock operator, or the PA man, or the scorekeeper. I mean, it's just not a good look. And I think there's a way that they can do this and solve all of these issues. But, you know, to his point, Adrian's point, I mean, the people that want to be there can justify why they're being there. I mean, you're telling me they're telling, like, since it's North Meck's home game, are they going to tell the West Charlotte annual they can't come? I mean, come on. I mean, every school has an annual, and most schools have either maybe not a newspaper anymore, but they have some sort of derivative of that. I mean, are you telling me that those people are not allowed to come because we've got all this other non-traditional media? And I get it. As a longtime newspaper man, non-traditional media is the wave of the future. We've got to get a hold of this and a handle on it and figure out how to vet the people, because the people that really are there for legitimate reasons are more offended and bothered by the people that aren't there for legitimate reasons.
You know,
and it's making us all look bad, and we're getting painted with a broad brush when we're trying to do our jobs.
Yeah, one point I'll make, and I'll throw it back to Adrian, we're going to close out, but I see two points. Ryan Lutz, when he was at Chambers, he's at West Meck now. I didn't mean to do that. I'm sorry. He used to do a great job of having the baselines clear, and he would give us a media table on the baseline. And he'd have the TV people on one side and me on the other side. And I thought that was a really good way to do it. And I think that's something that could be done. To Adrian's point, you can clear the baselines off just for essential personnel. I don't think you can do it for principals. The other thing I see a lot is new media coming with their boys. So there'll be 3, 4, 5 people down on the sideline of a football field and only one dude with a camera. So I'm like, those other dudes have no business down there, but they want to be on the sideline. They want to be close. And don't let Charlotte have some big time recruit like Isaiah Evans, because then everybody wants to be near, and then that creates a problem, and somebody could get hurt. But Adrian, I'm going to let you have a final word before we close out.
Yeah, I know earlier we had the meeting earlier in the year. I think they need to go back to the hard copy passes. The digital passes is so easy to make a fake one, and I think that's another issue when the schools see it. They don't know if it's real or fake. They're supposed to scan them, but mine never gets scanned. Mine rarely gets scanned. But to the other point, I feel like sometimes the more traditional media outlets, they tend to get free range, and I get it. Like they are more traditional, but that's where I said there needs to be a conversation with the ADs, with the parents and the coaches, because if they're paying me to cover the game, I'm not being paid to get footage from the stands. Like there's a different feel when that footage comes from the baseline, or even at the angle of the baseline, the corners of the baseline. It just gives it a different feel, and you feel like you're a part of that. And it's not even just for the students. The kids get something to remember.
But Adrian, what do you do if you're the AD and you got 10 of you that want access to the baseline in the corners?
Well, that's why I said they got to do their due diligence and go vet to see, to see who's legitimate or not, or go talk to the coaches or the players. Like they really have to listen to the players. The players are asking us to be there. Sometimes the coaches are asking us to be there. Sometimes the ADs are asking us to be there. Everything's all good when the AD asks you to be there. But then you go to schools when no one knows you for real. And I've been around for a long time, and I still get denied at some schools.
Right.
But then I'm like, well, can you go speak to so-and-so? And sometimes they go get them, and sometimes they don't. But at the end of the day, they're like, well, I have a job to do. And I'm like, so do I. Like,
absolutely.
They sometimes group me with that younger generation because they don't think I'm younger in college or something, but they don't know I have full-time bills. So if a school, parent, players paying me to be there, I need to be in there to fulfill an obligation I was paid to do.
I think CMS is on the right path. We'll see where they go from here. I think they're on the right path. I'm not saying I agree with this policy, but I think they're getting closer to what you guys are talking about. But anyway, this was a good show, a little heavy. I did want to get this conversation in, so I'll let it go. I want to thank Adrian for coming on. If you guys do need, this type of work, he's the guy. People ask me all the time who to call. Shotmakers. He's the guy. I hire him sometimes myself. I think he's great. He's quick and he's very efficient and he cares a lot about the work he does. So that's Adrian Addie. That is Randall Clark, the number one trainer I know. That's Rick Lewis, the number one high school voice for basketball. You hear it every week. That's Gary Richmond, my frat brother and longtime CMS coach. And I hope that they let you in North Meck, your alma mater, with your gold pass this week. Hope they don't turn you down in North Meck. And that's Richard Walker, the only guy in this area who's done this longer than me. I say it every week. It's kind of crazy because we've been Richard taught me how to do this job, which is that's how long he's been in the business. Yes,
you're forgetting Randall's final thought.
We're good.
Oh, you know what? No. We can't. No, thank you.
I don't have anything to say this week. We're good.
Thank you, Gary. No, you do have something to say this week. You got something to say? No points in 9 minutes.
Lord have mercy. Goodness gracious.
Well, I said I wasn't going to talk about it. My bad. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Whatever you got.
Yeah, kids, this is
you
what
won't, I will.
Go ahead, Gary. I will gladly.
You see? Okay. All right.
No, I didn't mean I wouldn't talk about it. I would let Randall talk about it. Randall,
we're heavy and you're on screen now. Final thought.
Okay. Final thoughts. This is the last week of the season. I wouldn't be so concerned about conference championships as I would be about seeding coming up in the state playoffs. When we were talking about games of the week, I said one thing we keep overlooking is conference championships are not important to the state anymore. It's seeding. So that's the most important thing, especially when you get these teams that are playing for a conference championship. It's more about seeding in the state playoffs now.
All right. Well, there it is. You heard it from everybody. I'm Langston, and we are finally done talking preps.